So if you've been following the channel and the podcast, you'll know that 2016 for me has been a year of really upgrading my audio equipment. And I've spent a lot of time and actually quite a bit of money upgrading some of the stuff that I have, and actually spent more doing that than actually collecting games. And I don't regret it, because I think good audio equipment really does enhance the gaming experience. And so I've come on and I've reviewed a number of different things, always from the perspective of, first and foremost, what can they do for gaming, and then talking about some of their more general properties. And on Cyber Monday, I came across these JBL Arena 170 speakers. Initially, they're priced at $250 a speaker. I got them for $75 a speaker, and really bought them blind. There aren't that many reviews. There weren't that many reviews out there. There still aren't that many reviews. So I figured, let's come out and review these speakers, and if you see them for a decent price, you'll have a better idea of what they can offer you. And they're a very unique speaker. You know, they are tower speakers, but when you think of a tower speaker, you're thinking of something, big and powerful and imposing. And that's really not what these speakers are. These speakers are, I think, relatively diminutive for tower speakers. In fact, they are probably going to be a little bit smaller than a good bookshelf speaker on a pedestal. I'm 6'2", and these speakers are about waist level. And that's not a bad thing, because I think their key implementation is in a small room, like an office or a game room. When you see the MSRP of $250 per speaker, you probably think this is going to be well suited for front speaker implementation in a home theater in a big room. And I think that is a little too ambitious. But in a small space, they are really doing a nice job for me. So what did I do with them? Well, if you've been following the channel, you'll know that in my game room, I had that retro gaming station. And recently I took that apart because it had become so absolutely cluttered. I just pulled everything out of there and left a small flat screen television, a receiver, and a Blu-ray player. And really, these speakers were able to fit right between that entertainment center and my desk on the one side and my bookshelf on the other. So it really gave the room a clean look, even though these are tower speakers. So I think they have the ability to be slotted into a lot of spaces where you wouldn't necessarily think a tower could go. The sound is fun. And I know that's a weird word to use to describe sound, but again, not being, I think, a main player in a big home theater space, for a small office, they do a really nice job of opening up a lot of source material. So again, I'll start with video games. I've tried everything from a Sega Saturn all the way through to the PS4 and the Xbox One. And in every case, they were a little bit forward, a little bit bright, and really captured a lot of the detail in video game sound effects. For example, the GameCube Star Wars games, the Rogue Squadron games, Rogue Squadron 2 and 3, these really brought out a lot of the detail of the blaster fire in some of those, like, crazy levels, like I think that was the first level, second level of the first GameCube Star Wars game, where you're doing the Death Star trench run, and you've got lasers firing at all sides. I mean, these speakers brought out so much detail in that level that I had not heard before. Dragon Quest VIII, for example, these really did a nice job with that orchestral score, mixed in with a lot of the JRPG sound effects, all the way through till some of the more modern games, Battlefront, stuff like that, where it made the game, it filled the room with the game. And I think that is something that you don't get from desktop speakers. It's a different experience than headphones. And then moving away from pure gaming, I hooked in the computer into the receiver, and just running DisplayPort to my monitor and HDMI into the receiver. And these really opened up a lot of online sources like YouTube and Twitch, and really have kind of just given me a different way to view those things. Instead of sitting in front of the computer, sitting on the couch, watching these videos and streams and stuff like that, and having that expanded soundstage. You know, it sounds silly, but for that purpose, they're actually pretty good. Now, I think, excuse me, where they fall down a little bit is pure critical listening of music. I think you're going to find that they lack a lot of bass extension. I think for movies, again, good for a small space, but obviously they're not going to replace something like a 7.1 system, and they're certainly not going to compete with, you know, the big, well-known tower speakers with a lot of power. I mean, there are any number of them out there. Think of the Golden Ear speakers or something like that, you know, where for about $1,000 you're going to get absolutely incredible sound. But again, small space, small office listening, they are going to be better, I think, than your desktop speakers. They're going to be better than a lot of bookshelf speakers in the $200 range that you're going to use for that purpose. And because of their small form factor, you can actually justify putting them in that space. So yeah, I think it's a unique product in the sense that if you can get them for under $100, they're going to be fun and engaging in a way that other $200 speakers are not going to be. They're going to be better, as I said, than a lot of computer speakers. You know, assuming you've hooked them in to a capable amp, and you don't really need, I mean, they're easy to drive, you don't need a ton of power, but I would suggest getting a kind of warmer amp, you know, like Pioneer has, I think, a slightly warmer sound, as does Denon. If you get something kind of neutral, they may actually sound a little too flat. That's just speculation. I don't have the time or the equipment to A/B things with these speakers. But again, for that purpose, for that small office game room purpose, I think they almost feel custom built for that. So if you see them for under $100 and you need some speakers, give them a shot. They are, I think, well worth that money. If you're considering them at $250 a speaker, so $500 for the pair, for serious home theater or critical listening, I would avoid them.